Hey, welcome to the Razzle Dazzle Show, a podcast where we talk about our favorite video games and all things pop culture with an emphasis on our favorites. I'm your host, Jared, and our guest today is John Rogeles. John is the founder of Dapper Dog Digital and one of the creative minds behind the indie games BioGun and TurnBreak. His journey into game development began in 2013, when he set his sights on breaking into the industry. After facing years of rejections and roadblocks, he took matters into his own hands and founded Dapper Dog Digital in 2019. Through his studio, John developed BioGun, a vibrant and fast-paced Metroidvania shooter that launched on Steam after 4 years of dedicated work. Now he's turning heads again with TurnBreak, a strategic roguelite card battler featuring monster collecting and a unique blend of mechanics. Passionate about innovation, accessibility, and community-driven development, John continues to carve out his place in the indie scene, one ambitious project at a time. TurnBreak is now available on Steam as early access, so please be sure to check that out. Please let us know what you think about this episode somewhere on the internet, and be sure to follow us on Instagram at RazzleDazzleShow, on TikTok at Razzle_Dazzle_show, on Blue Sky at Raz-Show-Pod, and on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Raz_Daz_pod. And with all that being said,
it's Razzle Dazzle time.
Hello, John. Thank you so much for being on the show. How are you today?
I am doing good. How about you?
I am doing fantastic, man. I am ready to break some turns. But before we get to that, a quick Kickstarter question. Who's your favorite Pokemon?
Oh, man. It's either Trico or Totodile. It'd probably be Totodile.
Good choice. That's the correct answer, in my opinion. That's my favorite. Yeah, man. There's already a what do you call them? What do you call them in TurnBreak? They're not. What are the creatures called?
We call them beasts.
Beasts?
Oh yeah. We flirted with ideas like calling them Breakermon and all sorts of stuff, but we were like, you know what? For the simplicity of it all, just so we don't like end up making text boxes way bigger than they need to be, just beasts. Beasts will be fine. Okay. And also, just so Nintendo doesn't get mad.
Yeah. No, I understand. So I already know there's a beast in the game that's very similar to Totodile, and I loved it. So okay, anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So before we get there, let's start at the beginning. Can you tell us, where did you grow up and how would you describe the musical background of your childhood?
Oh boy. In my youth, I was born in Yabico, Puerto Rico, but shortly after was moved to New York, Rochester, I believe. Spent a good time of my childhood there. Then we just kind of jumped around from New York to Virginia. Better job opportunity for my mom at that time. She was a single mom, so it was me and my 3 other siblings. And then from Virginia, we moved to New York after my mom married my stepdad. And then from New York, upstate New York, to Florida for, I think it was IBM, was what my dad did. He worked at IBM, and there's an opportunity in Florida. And then from Florida, after probably a decade of being there, we went to Pennsylvania for one big another job opportunity. And then I went to college, went back to Florida to Full Sail University. And but that's going beyond my childhood. I'm going to sound like every 90s kid here, but Linkin Park and just... that teenage angst, right? Linkin Park, but also a lot of video game music too. Because we moved often, I found myself playing video games more often just because we were always so far away from other people. I would make friends at school, but we would move, and it just it wasn't as easy to hang out after school. So I would either draw or play video games. So video game music and Evanescence, Linkin Park, all those. Right. Maybe it was my older siblings that kind of put that on me, but yeah.
Understood. Okay, I'm sorry. I need to address this just because this is getting me excited. Behind you, are those blown up Switch cartridges of the first 3 Xenoblade games, and you have a Xenoblade 2 poster?
Yes, they are.
So I'm assuming you're a big Xenoblade fan.
Yes, I'm a huge Xenoblade fan.
Dude!
I'm a nerd for that series.
Oh my god, me too! I love Xenoblade. Xenoblade 2 is my favorite out of the series. Here, I'm not I'm not gonna say this just to brag, but just because it's freaking cool, right? I am friends, like actual friends, with Sky Bennett, and I've had her on the show. I've had David Menken, the voice of Malos, on the show, and Harry McIntyre, the voice of Noah, on the show. Like I know that it's like crazy.
Yeah, that's mind blowing. That's awesome. Man.
And so do you know of Chugga Conroy then? Chugga Conroy then.
Oh yeah, he brought so much attention to Xenoblade.
Yeah, right.
We
also had him on the show like a few years ago. Crazy.
He's the one that I think, like, so I had heard of it and I thought it was cool, but I think it was Chugga Conroy's playthroughs that I watched.
Yep.
That I was like, whoa, this is so sick. And I'm so glad that they made the remaster.
Yeah.
Because even though I actually own I believe I still own Xenoblade 1 in a Wii case, although I don't play it.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't have a Wii, but I ended up getting the remaster and then playing it there first time, and it was awesome just because I got to experience it myself, and it had been like, I don't know, almost a decade since Chugga Conroy's playthroughs, so it was just great to kind of forget a lot of stuff.
Yeah, no, dude, same here. Just about, like, I fell in love with Xenoblade through Chugga Conroy and his Let's Play. It was like during the summer of that same playthrough Let's Play. It was like after right when Shulk and the gang like started crossing the Mechonis sword. That's when I stopped because like some big story stuff was happening. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to watch this anymore. I want to play it. I didn't have a Wii or Wii U at the time, I think, or like the Wii version was too expensive. So I used my birthday money to buy myself a new 3DS XL. I only had the normal 3DS. Yeah. So I bought it it's my first like system that I bought for myself. So I bought the new 3DS XL with the new 3DS version of Xenoblade, and I played it, fell in love with it even more. I 100%ed that, and I 100%ed the definitive edition that came out for the Switch. I 100%ed Xenoblade 2, and I'm still working on 3 and both X's. Yeah, man.
That is awesome. I'm ashamed to admit I've never 100%ed any Xenoblade
Dude, it's
game.
A lot. It's so much.
It's a ton, but I commend you for that one for sure. But I did beat X way back when it released on Wii U. I was so blown away by X, especially back in 2014.
Yeah, man.
I believe that was such an incredible experience. I have the definitive edition. In fact, like, you can kind of see it here.
Sick. Oh, dude, that is so freaking cool.
It's just a bunch of Nintendo Switch cases inside 3D printed frames.
I love it.
So I have not beaten X. I haven't tried the new content. It's just I've been so busy. It's funny, like when you make video games, it's like you get so busy making a game, you don't have as much time to play other games often. It sucks, but yeah.
Understood. Okay, sorry. I'm glad we had this little nerd out for Xenoblade, but I'm gonna get back to the scripts. See, tangents. What I tell you before we started, like I tend to ramble and go on tangents. I'm so sorry.
I'm so stoked. I hope they drop some upgrades for the Switch 2 to play the games in glorious 60 FPS or higher.
Yeah.
And whatever game they're working on next, because man, they are nuts. They're like the ILM for Nintendo.
Right? Yeah, man. Xenogears getting brought back would be great. The Xenosaga games, that would be great. Like, I play through Xenogears. I have Xenosaga 1. Yeah, man.
Spoiler warning. Not that I'm going to say too much, but man, the DLC for 3, hinting at all that kind of stuff was nutty.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so freaking good, dude. And just like the remastered music for beloved songs too. Oh my god. It was so cool. Oh man.
The same singer that sung the songs for the Xenosaga series. It's just nuts. I'm like, man, these guys you can tell they love what they make and what they do. So it's just it's a shame that not many other people know about the series.
I know, right? It's still niche for some reason, or like kind of.
Yeah. It might, who knows? Maybe it'll be like Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter took so long before it came to the mainstream, I think, with World, but so maybe at some point.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Oh, and and again, not to brag, I'm just saying because this is cool. Colleen O'Shaughnessy, the voice of Tails, right? Among other things, she's also the voice of Cosmos, or Cosmos, however you want to say it. In Xenosaga, we had her on the show. We were lucky and fortunate enough to have her on the show. Again, mind-blowing. It's cool. Anyways.
That is so cool.
I know. It's like,
I'm envious.
It's so, okay. Anyways. Back to the show. I'm going to leave all that in. Like, I don't care, man. We're here to nerd out and geek out about shit. Did you have any instruments or anything in the household?
So my stepdad, if anything, he's the one that introduced a lot of instruments in our household because he played piano professionally. And so I remember him, teaching me some keys and then I think what he had, his intentions were to see if he could get all of the kids to play an instrument. And so that didn't work out. I don't think any of us held the attention span for it. However, I did mess with piano. I did mess with drums very shortly. That was a lot of fun, and electric guitar for a little bit. But I did the electric guitar for the wrong reasons. I did it for a girl way back then in high school. So that didn't last long.
Yeah. What kind of music was being played by your parents or in the household?
So my dad, okay. So first of all, every Saturday, especially being in, Hispanic culture, you would wake up to loud Hispanic music blasting, and it was a day to clean up. Yeah. Everybody just had to clean up and was awoken by loud music. It was awesome. But kind of fond of those memories. And then, but my dad, so he would play music at churches. So we would, every Sunday we'd just go to a church and not just any. I mean, I think it was a long time ago. It was when I was really young, but we would go to churches and he would be the music or worship leader.
That's cool.
At churches. Mm-hmm. And he was the one that would play piano. Yeah, it's been a while thinking back. And it's kind of funny because it doesn't feel like it's been that long, but. Yeah.
Do you remember the first physical music you've owned that was yours?
I don't think I think I've literally only bought one, it was a soundtrack. Because when I was getting old enough to be interested in music, LimeWire existed. Not that I used it, but it was, I remember being in college and it was because you growing up, we lived in a digital age, so it wasn't as necessary, especially with music. You could just buy things digitally or get things, like I said, cough through LimeWire, cough. Yeah. But the Tron soundtrack was college. I remember when Tron came out. It was was it after? No, it was during. I think Tron released in 2012.
I would say 11 or 12. Yeah, early 2010s.
Yeah, and I remember I was like, I have to get this OST. This thing is incredible. It was so nuts. And
the one with Daft Punk.
Yes, you just push that CD through to your car and just blast your speakers, even if you had the crappiest of basses, and just listen to that. Oh man, so nerd.
Yeah,
so good.
I love it. This next question requires a bit of context, so please bear with me. I am a producer and audio engineer at WGCU Public Media, a NPR PBS station in Southwest Florida. And we have this other show called 3 Song Stories where we tell people's biography through music, right? The guests will come in and they will pick 3 songs that every time they listen to these songs, they immediately get transported back to a time and place that they have a significant story associated with it. It could be any kind of story. It could be a fun little anecdote. It could be just a silly story. It could be serious or heartbreaking or super important to their life. Whatever, whatever. As long as it's a significant story memory associated with that song. I want to ask you, off the top of your head, do you have one song story you're willing to share?
It's so dumb. The first thing that came to my mind was Steve from Blue's Clues. Here's the mail. It never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. So the reason why is because why that's so significant to me was because that Blue's Clues, watching Blue's Clues is what got me into drawing. That is literally what shaped my like trajectory in being an artist at such a young age.
Really?
I don't know. There's something so cool about watching him draw these pretty clean pictures.
It's very pleasing.
With a massive Crayola.
Yeah.
Like
it's like a young kid's version of Bob Ross.
Yes, I guess.
It's so quick. It's so quick. You know, he's like, he doesn't do it for long. He's just like, whoop, 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 whoop. Okay, here it is. But it looks so, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's for sure. That's like immediate childhood right there. It's just kind of anytime I think of my childhood, I think of Blue's Clues in general. Not that I just sit here and think about my childhood and Blue's Clues often, but
whenever it comes up.
That is definitely. Yeah.
Understood.
Definitely.
Here's the mail, it never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want to wail.
I just saw, not just saw, but I've been seeing online that Steve, or like, you know, the actor, I think his real name is Steve, I don't know. He's like launching his own show about, you know, trying to help adults also navigate adult life or something, his own podcast.
I had no idea. That is incredible.
Yeah. I remember watching Blue's Clues as a kid, but like it's never stuck with me as like other shows. I don't know. It's weird. Anyways, thank you for sharing that. How does that song fit into your life today?
Oh, well, fit in, I guess, is that my main career is creating art and making video games. So it all led to that.
And speaking of dogs, there's a lot of dog stuff going around you right now specifically, but also in your career, right? With your own studio, Dapper Dog, your first game, BioGun, the setting is within a dog, right? So like, there's a lot of dog stuff in your life I'm picking up.
Yes, yeah. I'm not sure if you actually brought that up because you can hear my dog barking like crazy.
Well, it's just like Blue's Clues and all of that other stuff. It was already
right.
I was already gonna say it, and then your dog started barking.
Yeah, that is funny. Yeah, no. Let me see if I can pull him up over here. Come here, Ellen. All right.
Aw, hi,
There you
cutie.
go. So,
What's his name?
So his name is Jasper.
Jasper.
And the default name in BioGun is Penny. So that's my second dog. She's in her cage. She's a big dog. I couldn't hold her. So I took Jasper's likeness, and then I took Penny's name as the default name.
Understood.
So I can include both.
Aww.
And he's the inspiration behind the logo on the shirt.
Yeah, oh, that's adorable. Oh, I love it.
Although he's being a little shy right now. Normally he has Dorito ears. They just kind of stick forward like that. But... He's like, why are you holding me? What's going on? Yeah. I don't know. I think a part of me, I mean, I'm more of a dog person. I have nothing against cats. Cats don't like me. I don't know why. The only cats I get along with are dog cats.
Right.
Like, or cats that act more like dogs. But they just have, like one of my best friends, he had a cat, and that cat hated me to death. I don't know why. Anytime I walked by it, would like strike at my heel or ankle or whatever. And then I think in my childhood, we had a cat named Princess, and the only thing I ever saw of that cat was its white paw trying to attack from underneath the couch.
Oh my God.
I don't really remember it too much. This was when I was very young, like maybe 4, 5 years old. So I don't know, just no luck with cats, unfortunately.
Right.
So I lean more towards dogs. I think dogs are fun. You know, they're playful. They don't just like, you know, like my experience with cats is like they'll come up like maybe 4 feet, just out of hand's reach, and then they'll just stay there. And then they don't let you pet them, and then they still expect food at the end of the day. It's like, what? Like, no, I'm good. Whereas he'll come under my desk, he'll like cuddle against my legs, like he wants to be around me. You know, when I get home, he's excited. That, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not a hater of cats. They're just not and we never jived.
I get it. Yeah, the vibe isn't right. Then why still try to fight it? You know?
Yeah.
Well, speaking of video games and stuff, before we get right into the video game development stuff, I want to know, what kind of video game consoles did you have growing up in your household, if you had any?
Yeah, so I had an older brother, and so he got first pick for a long time, right? So whenever we did get a console. It was due to my older brother until he moved out, and then I was able to get my own. So the first console I remember being like extra special was the Nintendo 64. Before that, we had a Sega Genesis and a Super Nintendo, but that goes so far back in memory, like when I was like 3-4 years old, that they were just there already to my memory. Like I don't remember somebody bringing it home, if that makes sense.
Right, it was always there, yeah.
Yeah, it was just there. And so, but I do remember the day that my brother got the Nintendo 64 and like Mario on the box of the Nintendo 64. It was Mario 64 that came with it, I believe. And so I was like, whoa, this is so cool. And in fact, it's kind of crazy that I can still remember seeing the box of the Nintendo 64 in my head when I think about it.
Yeah.
And just like playing that. And then shortly after that, it was Dreamcast. My brother acquired a Dreamcast through my uncle. He did a lot of like yard work for him, and we put together our money. I believe it was mostly his money though. I barely had any at that time. I didn't do enough yard work. But he got a Dreamcast. I remember playing Sonic Adventure 2 through that, and a couple other games, Soul Calibur, and then Xbox. He got, I think that's the one we both put our money together on to get an Xbox. He was like, oh, there's this Xbox system, we should get it. So we got that. Got into Halo. Really, really got into Halo. I unfortunately didn't grow up with the PlayStation. So I'm one of those guys. Sadly, I wish I did. There's so many cool games on there. There's no hate against Sony at all on my end. I just didn't grow up with it. So it was mainly Nintendo and Xbox, Microsoft. So that, and then my very first console was the Xbox 360. That was my first console. That was when I was 14, thinking about it. That's the first time I got a console. And getting Halo 3 with it, and the amount of endless, like, it just felt like endless nights of just the creator mode and just like making so many games and just inviting recently played players into your like lobby to just play all these ridiculous zombie mode and all these other mini games you would make, and blast from the past there. And then after that, the current existing lineup of just like the Xbox One, which was blah, and then I just kind of fallen off Xbox in general. If you PC game, you basically can experience most of what Xbox has to offer. Yeah. So I've mainly just stuck with Nintendo now at this point. And just at a time where I could technically jump into Sony or PlayStation, they're already putting their games on Steam. So what's the point?
You waited long enough.
Yeah, I guess I waited just long enough that I don't need to, So.
Understood. Okay. Well, now with that picture painted, let's start with your origin story of becoming a game developer. What do you remember? What first sparked your love for not just games, but for the development process of it?
Yeah, I always saw video games as the ultimate form of art, because not only do you get to create something, but you get to bring it to life, not just through animation like a movie, but being able to control or manipulate or affect it in some kind of way. Like you can create a character, like for example, survival games, like you can create a character, they could have a backstory and all this stuff, but like they're affected by their environment, and that's all programmed and stuff. And so it's just like, just knowing the power behind the kind of storytelling you can do with a video game is just was so like engrossing. The idea, being able to create something from scratch, a world, story, a narrative, the music, the sound behind it. I just felt like I needed to go that route. I wanted to go that route. I already had dabbled with flip book animations when I was a kid, so. Yeah, that I felt like I had to go that route. So I went to Full Sail University, and initially I was only going to I went there for animation specifically. But the cool thing at that time, I don't know if they've changed this, but in Full Sail University, the first 9 months, it was the animators and like game artists they were together for the first 9 months. And then after those first 9 months, they would split and then become like more specialized, because the first 9 months they were both taught the same things. And during that 9 months, I realized I love 3D modeling, like creating the actual 3D models of characters and assets and stuff. And I still really enjoyed animation, but I realized that I wanted to actually go more towards video games, because I was drawn to not only just the creation of characters and the animations, but all the other aspects that go to, that belong to a video game versus a movie. So then I ended up pivoting and went down the game art direction.
Right.
And so that is essentially how I graduated Full Sail with the game art degree, or bachelor's of computer science, and went down this route. Now, how I got to where I am today, if that's part of the question.
Yes,
correct?
It is.
It has been a very long journey. So I graduated in 2013 at 20 years old from Full Sail University, and I remember Gearbox had that huge falling out of, like, letting go of, was it 100 employees because of alien colonial marines or something like that. And the thing is, when I graduated, I moved to Texas in the Dallas area. And that is where Gearbox was located. They were actually in like the Frisco-ish area, I believe. And I was 20 minutes away from them. And so when I graduated out of school and that happened, I'm like, wait, what? So now I have to compete with all these local, developers and artists, which was really tough. At this time, I only specialized in just game art, just 3D modeling and 2D, drawing and all that stuff. And so I not only have to compete against all these people that just got let go recently, but I also have to compete for entry-level positions that either don't want to pay and also are looking for 3 years of experience, which is like what so many college students are experiencing anyways. So it was still going on way back in 2013.
Yeah.
People, at that time, they wanted 3 years of experience.
Now they want
2 to 3.
8 to
now
10.
They want 5. And yeah, I know. 5 to 10 years, which is nuts. So I feel for anybody who's listening who graduated college and just struggled. That was the same story. I have the same story. So what did I do? I got a job at GameStop because I like games. So, and I'll admit, like, pride-wise, that hurt a bit because so much money was spent on school, and I had this degree, and I mean, it wasn't like that I didn't try. I applied to all the local jobs and even tried applying elsewhere, California, Activision's there. It was just it was a very disheartening experience because of having to go through art tests and being like sold like, oh, you've progressed, you're past this point. Oh, we're really looking at you as a candidate, and then just cut off.
Right. The
conversation would just stop, and you're just like, what is going on? And it was a very difficult experience, and it was hard. And so I remember, trying to find jobs, you reach out to your college friends, see what they were doing. And a couple times I grouped up with strangers, like a college friend, but with his friends or whatever. So strangers to me, but we would try and make a game, and it would go okay for a month. And then all of a sudden people would just start falling off, no longer communicating. And then that would fall through. That happened like 2-3 times before I came together and collaborated with a really close friend from college. We collaborated for like 4 years. We did a Kickstarter for a game called Revan. He led the charge on that one. I alongside him, of course, but like it was a vision he had to make he loved Super Metroid, and I love Metroid too, but he really loved Super Metroid. He wanted to make something like that. So we did a Kickstarter for it. I was focused. My only focus was on art. And, this is more of his business, I should say, so I won't touch too much, but he battled with depression, and it definitely got to him. Making a video game is hard. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It really is like a lot of people love video games, so they try and make video games. Once they see the amount of work that is involved, it stops people from making them. And after 4 years, that fell through. He kind of just, I don't like to shame him or anything. That's not my intention here. But he disappeared, and it was like radio silence for 2 years. I didn't hear from him while a lot of those Kickstarter backers were still looking for answers. And that was probably I think it was that, and then being married and my wife encouraging me, that pushed me to just start making games on my own. I was after all the experiences of trying to work with people, trying to make games, and so far everyone had let me down. I thought to myself, I'm just going to do this myself. If I can get to a position or a point where I know that I can do this, then no one can let me down. The only person that can let me down is myself.
Right.
And so that journey began in 2019 when I decided I had like messed around with an engine called Construct 2, like dabbled with it a little bit, because that was the engine that the person that I had that we had done the Kickstarter for Revan in 2014. That's what they used, and so I kind of got to learn a little bit from watching him.
Yeah.
And so, opened that back up, messed with it. It was very artist friendly. So that's what really drew me to it, and started messing with that. I picked up an old project that was called BioGun Arcade Edition. My wife had suggested, hey, why don't you go mess with that cute little piggy game and see if you can make something out of it. So I did, and long story short, from 2019 to 2024, we released BioGun. And when I say we, I mean about 7 months into the development of BioGun, one of my best friends, named Ivan Elizalde, him and I were talking back and forth about BioGun. I had shown him a bunch of stuff that I had got done for it, and he was really interested. He was giving me pointers on level design, and eventually he joined in, and he actually stuck it out with me. Him and I grew so close during the entire process, yelling at each other, of course. That's how you grow close, right? Just like wailing on each other verbally about mixed opinions. But it was such an incredible learning experience making BioGun. We, of course, were foolish in the sense that we decided to tackle one of the hardest genres for 2D. Not only do you have to make a level design, but you have to make a interconnected world with all these different systems and mechanics, and just so many just interweaving parts of map and markers and bosses and enemy. It was just it was crazy, but I'm really glad that we did. It taught me so much. Yeah, it was an incredible learning experience, and learned a ton from it. And so that's how Dapper Dog Digital was formed, initially by myself. Then I had a friend join and learned so much. And I know that's such an all-encompassing word, just learn so much, and it's kind of boring. I don't want to bore with the extreme details of it, but there was a lot. I mean, a lot learned from just personal growth. Like, one thing I could say for sure is when I started that project, there was a lot of pride in it. And that's something I reflect back on, and I'm really happy that kind of changed. But I remember thinking when I first started making BioGun, man, so many people let me down. I'm going to do this myself. I can do this, and that's okay to have and can be somewhat healthy. But I remember it wasn't healthy with the mindset that I had. And I remember that mindset of being so prideful of I need to do this, which definitely pushed a lot forward. That broke down over time. And I remember we would have friends like Natalie who joined, and she would help us out with enemy designs, just because I got so caught up in not only the programming, but just animations and creating bosses that I couldn't juggle everything. So eventually that piece broke, and so I was like, okay, I can't do everything. It's better that I do give off a little bit of this and that. And that, like I said, that entire experience, it changed so much, and I'm so grateful for it. It was so hard. And I'm very, very hopeful that moving forward, especially even with TurnBreak, I can see so much has changed in general, but all the experiences that I learned from there are now being applied into TurnBreak, and then obviously whatever experience I learned here is going to apply to whatever next project. So it's just it's a growth. It's a long journey of growing. And I got a little philosophical here, my bad.
Do not apologize. I love every bit of this. You answered like half of my questions, dude, just from that. Dude,
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. I love this. Then I don't have to ask them, right? Less editing.
It's true.
I absolutely love hearing about all of this because, from the research that I could do, because, I try to do this with every guest, right? Research as much as possible. The most I could find is like a game rant or screen rant, whatever the site is called, interview that you did for BioGun. So within that, I didn't get as much as I got from you just now, which is nice. It's great to have. So anyways, I love this story that you just told, your life story of becoming this creator. You started as an artist, you fell in love with making art, then fell in love by drawing or whatever, right? And then eventually came to making an actual video game. Now we've had another indie developer here on the show. Yeah, about a year ago now. His name is Chris Stair. He is one of the founders and creators of this other Metroidvania, hand-drawn, Bo Path of the Teal Lotus. One of my favorite games ever, and I can't stop raving about it. Hashtag not an ad. This is like, I'm serious, man. Fell in love with the game. Got to have people from Squid Shock on the show. Chris, Trevor, more people. But anyways, Chris, he also did the art for that game. And it's also a hand-drawn 2.5D Metroidvania, right? And, something that we talked about, and from every indie developer that we have on the show, this point that I'm about to make is even more prominent, that it is a miracle that any game gets made, especially by indie devs who have like a handful of creators, right? And regardless of like not including the outsourcing of like all the other people, you have to like have other different elements. I'm saying core development team, like Squid Shock is 2 basically, right? From what you said, it is you and your friend, again, 2, right? And for coming out with such an incredible product, like I am a sucker for Metroidvanias, and I'm a sucker for hand-drawn games. So Bo got me right from the start. BioGun, same deal, man. Like the art style, it's so vibrant. And who doesn't love neon for one thing, and yeah, just Metroidvanias. That's a comfort type of game genre for me. And I absolutely love it, on top of like the very sweet type of premise, trying to save your dog, right? Like, yeah, of course, like I'm gonna fall in love with it more because I'm like saving my best friend, said from a cat owner. But still, if that was my cat, or if that was like my animal, regardless, I'll do whatever I need to do to save him. Anyways,
there's an interesting story there too. It wasn't originally about saving dogs. Because BioGun was like the original idea was created in 2016 and then taken back up in 2019. If you think about it, what happened shortly after 2019?
That's true. COVID. Yeah.
The pandemic. And so because of that, I got really worried about the politics behind making a game about a pandemic.
Yeah.
And so I remember distinctly looking on like when I was really deep in that like thought of like, oh man, I feel like we need to change this. I need to change this. I looked over at my dog and I was like, hey, what if we made it a pet-demic? And then of course sprinkle humor to the kind of like subvert from the, the unfortunate reality, of having a real life pandemic. But, and go that route, which is why, by the way, the intro to BioGun, like that dialogue intro is so ridiculous, because I was really trying to like, hey, like this isn't a scary game, even though you're trying to save your dying dog. But yeah, so that, hopefully I didn't pull away from whatever question you were going to bring up.
No. It wasn't even a question. It was just like a talking point of like just acknowledging that, your hard work is seen, and like you've made a incredible video game from all of that, still, and that's something that I respect a lot, because I consider myself a completionist, right? I love to 100% games, see every bit of detail, every like corner, nook, cranny, whatever of a game, because people spent hours and years making this thing. So like in my own way, that philosophical way that I adopted from Gerard the completionist, it's kind of paying respects to those creators to do everything, so for BioGun, I can tell that, on top of knowing the story, I can tell that a lot of hard work and dedication was poured into this. And it's another thing of like having the lead developer, you also doing the art, again, hand drawn. That's not something to scoff at. Pixel art is nothing to scoff at, but hand drawn art as well is like it's makes it all the more impressive to me, if that makes sense, because there's a little bit more attention to details. I think, like, I'm not an artist. I don't really know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm just saying like what I see, like, for example, our friend Danny, he's a pixel artist and he does an amazing, fantastic job. And I know that shit's not easy. And it's incredible the things he can create because of how talented he is. But also on the other hand, it's apples and oranges, right? For hand-drawn art, it's again an incredible feat, especially for an entire game. So I just wanted to say kudos to you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It was definitely a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Yeah. That's the joke in BioGun.
Yeah.
But yeah, that it was hard, but it definitely had a lot of love poured into it. It was like I said, that decade before of struggling to just get an opportunity to make a game, and then here it is. I'm going to seize this opportunity and pour everything that is in me in here with the resources that we have of just two primary developers and just trying to make something that was good, because we've got, like Chris had to deal with this and so many other Metroidvania developers, just like the, Hollow Knight is so prominent and so known. And so the comparison is always there. So on the back of all of our minds, everyone that was developing a Metroidvania is like, how do we make something that not only reaches the standard or that quality bar that Hollow Knight achieved over time, but also something that's unique, bring something that's unique to the table. And that's where the vibrant neon coloredness of BioGun came into play, because there's so many games that were just so like Dark Soulsy, gray, gothic. And then 2, instead of a world that's already been desolate that you're exploring, it's a world that's on the brink of dying. 3, it being inside of a body, because biology isn't something that just isn't, it's not touched on. It's the whole biology aspect, I understand why nobody wants to do it, because honestly, there's not much reference besides the actual biology itself. You have to like break down biology, the terminology, in a way that's digestible.
Funny.
1. 2, you have no visual reference. Go look at what the body looks like at a microscopic level. It's a bunch of circles. You know what I mean? Like it's just not a lot. It's kind of hard to imagine what everything looks like at a microscopic level. So it's a very difficult thing to touch on. And so, and then being able to name, instead of like flipping the typical thing that games do, like, in Zelda and in a lot of these games where you get to name the protagonist, like flipping that on its head, and it's like, name the dog that you're saving, or the person you're saving. So try to do a lot of things that were just different. Obviously, it being twin stick shooter is very different from the typical melee style focused Metroidvania.
Or just shooter like Metroid itself. And clearly you are a Metroid fan, as we established before we recorded. Wow, holy shit, so sorry. That took me a second to look at it. Dude, that's a sick ass meta Ridley.
Yeah, it's huge.
Oh my god. Hell yeah.
I had to get it
Yeah.
when I saw it.
Holy shit. Yeah, we've had Jessica Aaron Martin on the show, the voice of Samus Aran in Metroid Other M. She is so nice. She's like one of the nicest people, man. She was so nice enough, like, after the interview, she's like, hey, if you want, you can mail me your copy of Other M and I'll sign it. And I'm like, what?
That's awesome.
Super freaking cool. Anyways, clearly, yeah, you are a Metroid fan, and, you know, you're still taking a lot of notes from the source material, right, of Metroid within your game BioGun, in the sense of, like, you know, Metroid, obviously we're exploring an alien world, but with BioGun, we're exploring a air quotes world that is alien to us. Like you said, like, we don't know about the, like, anatomy of biology all that well. It's hard to look at, right? So therefore it is very alien, air quotes, to us. And I think that's like a great spin on it, you know?
It's alien to us on a visual level and can be alien to those who didn't study biology for sure. And it was a lot of fun. It was tough, but it was so much fun. And it ultimately, when I look back at a lot of the things that BioGun did, sure, there are ways to improve the game. There's always going to be ways to improve something. There's a saying that an artist is never finished with their work.
Yeah.
They merely decide when to set it aside or, you know, put it down.
Yeah.
And so, you know, there's definitely things about BioGun that I wish could be a little different. Like, I would love to bring it to console. If there's any publishers listening to this, you know,
Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation, even though we said Xbox we dropped out of, doesn't matter.
But yeah, so like bringing the game to console, you know, one of the things that would definitely need to be looked at is remaking it potentially due to the engine it's built in. One, I can't bring it to consoles because it's made in the Construct 3 engine, but so it has to get ported over. But two, remaking it allows for us to like really optimize the game and possibly even add in content that was originally planned for the game. Unfortunately, and I don't know if you know this detail, but like so one of the big things that we were gonna do, or we had planned last year, at the end of last year, was so we were going to add in content, some DLC to the game. You know, that's why part of the, like when you scan the final boss, this is the penultimate version of, you know, the final boss.
Right.
And then there's just like some cliffhanger missions, like you finish the missions, but like you felt like, wait a minute, there's more. This has to allude to more than just where it like kind of ends, and was very intentional. But due to the engine that we use to make it, Construct 3, it is a web browser engine. So, you know, for those who remember Newgrounds, they're essentially, when you're playing BioGun, you're playing a Newgrounds game almost, which is crazy. But so the web browser engine itself, web browsers in general have a memory limit. They can only hold 6 gigs before they crash. The browser screen crashes and it says error out of memory. And so we got to a point with BioGun where whenever I would load the project up and open it, it would have to load in every single asset that existed in that file in the project. So unlike a game where you're loading one room at a time and whatever assets need to exist, no, when you load the entire project, every asset gets loaded in.
Wow.
And because of that, it would hit the memory cap and it would crash. So like the project is like, I can't unfortunately salvage it fully. It would have to like in terms of where it is right now inside Construct 3, I can't like bug fix. I can't test it, anything. I can't even export new versions because it just crashes out of memory. Is the error I get. So it stinks. It also stings because of the journey, right, that I've been on since 2013 of trying to make a game, and then if we finally do, and then we hit a point where we can't do anything more with it unless we remake it, essentially. So that's a bit rough. There's more to the journey too. Like it didn't even end after BioGun released. You know, it's wild. It's a very wild ride, but I'm so appreciative of it just because, like I said, so much was learned from it, from releasing the game, but then like not having any marketing backing behind it. So when it released, not many of the people that wishlisted even knew about it unless they are very attentive to their emails. To this day, we're still sitting at over like 50,000 wish lists on the game. So the good news is whenever it goes on sale, those emails go out like, hey, this game you wishlisted is on sale. And so we tend to make some pretty decent sales there. But other than that, it's just not known. That's a big issue that we have to contend with. And then after that, us and our publisher at the time, we saw things a little differently. So we decided to part ways. We bought back our rights, and thanks to the help of Kendall, who is the head of a Little Legendary.
Oh yeah, Shade Protocol. Yeah, man, we know Kendo as well. We're gonna talk to him at the end of July. Yeah.
For me, he was gonna be one of the names I would suggest.
Okay, no, you can still do it. I don't care, man.
But
Danny connected us as well.
Yes, yeah, Danny. There you go. Now we own. But so he came out of nowhere and he helped us out.
Oh, that's great.
We were able to get the rights back, and that's when we were planning to add in content, and then we hit that wall. And then like even after the month after releasing BioGun, I suffer from a bulged disc from all this sitting and working, overworking.
Oh my God. Yeah,
it was nuts. Like I had gained over 60 pounds from working on BioGun just because of 12 hours a day sitting at my desk 7 days a week, simultaneously being married and having kids, just trying to balance everything. It was hard, but we pulled it off, and then I'm glad it happened after release, not during. But suffered a bulged disc, ironically at physical therapy of all places. I'm sure those people were definitely petrified. They're like, what am I doing here? That person over there is wailing, just sitting there, deep man tears. Like I couldn't move my legs. I couldn't even move my feet or my toes. I actually thought I was paralyzed legitimately.
Oh, man.
And so like just the dealing with the rough release, the herniation, then to get the rights back and then suffer from the memory limit of the browser. It was just a really hard. 2024 was so hard, especially it being the year that so many Metroidvanias released as well.
Yeah.
And that did not help. But now, today, I'm here with you, and I've lost all that weight that I gained, lost over 60 pounds, which is awesome. I just had to change my work-life balance, and we're about to release an early access a new game, TurnBreak.
Yeah.
Learning from a lot of lessons from BioGun. For one, I probably shouldn't, especially when you don't have the capital, should not invest in a project that's like 5 years long. And make smarter choices. And so that's what TurnBreak sort of is like a culmination of all the lessons learned from BioGun, and hopefully, I would love to make either a sequel or remake BioGun, or even make more games that lean more towards the twin stick shooter side, just because I noticed that there just isn't that many, and I think we found something with BioGun, and it could be pushed further. But we'll see. Time will tell, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right. I don't see a lot of... I think when people think of twin stick shooters, they're like, oh, it's just like an old school arcade game that's like doesn't have a lot of substance to it. But, you proved those people wrong, or whoever says that wrong, that BioGun is more than just, like BioGun expands upon the twin stick shooter genre and the Metroidvania genre. But you've already helped me with the segue. TurnBreak, yes. By the time this episode releases, early access for your new game, TurnBreak, it is out. And, I've played the demo. I am very much interested in it because, on paper, it's described as a roguelike elemental creature card battler. That's
mouthful.
Yeah, it's a mouthful, and those are like interesting words to see together, right? I want to ask, like, what inspired this genre fusion in the first place? Why shift from a twin stick shooting Metroidvania to a more strategic style game?
So there's two big reasons. The first reason, which is the more boring reason, would definitely be because of lack of resources. Trying to see exactly how I should word this, but while BioGun is out there and it's doing fairly well, I still haven't seen much of the money from it yet. That is due to getting the rights back, but having to get a loan to do that. So anything that BioGun makes is going straight to that loan, essentially. Right. And we're actually almost done, and which is really, really exciting. Yeah. So just in case anybody's wondering, it's like, well, he has a release game, and why would he do this if that game was, did well? Well, it's because, I still haven't seen much income from that. So that's one of the reasons. Second reason, I could not, due to the lack of capital, and I could not make another big game or what would be expected, especially with, I'm sure, look at what the Team Cherry has to deal with and contend with. The fact that they released a big, like Hollow Knight. When you release a game to that caliber, if you do not switch genres, then the expectations will be that you release, if you're going to stay in the same genre, that you release something as good, if not better.
That's why Silksong has taken so long, and it's finally going to release this year.
Yeah. Knock on wood.
Yeah, right? We'll see if that still holds true.
Yeah, like I have a friend who's like, it's a psyop. I knew I had to shift, make a change in genres. If I didn't have the capital to work on another Metroidvania or even a twin stick shooter, it had to switch genres. So I love Metroid, but I also love Pokemon. However, I will be completely honest, I have fallen off of Pokemon a bit.
That's understandable.
I played Sword and Shield. I played Scarlet Violet. I think I played Black and White. And before that, though, when I was really into the series, I absolutely loved Gen 1 through 3.
Yeah.
They are like just my childhood. Like that was middle school for me, like, or at least up to middle school when Ruby and Sapphire came out. And so I very much love Gen 1 through 3 Pokemon. And I remember I before BioGun, or working on BioGun in 2019, I had actually sketched out, like, I had several games, like 5 or so games that I'd come up with or theorized what I could make. And one of them was a Pokemon-like where, you instead of it being super safe, it's like you get to attack the trainer with your beasts. Like, if you're really battling somebody, are you really going to just have the beasts tackle each other? No, you're going to send them at the trainer or whatnot, so you can just stop the fight immediately, win, and, whatever, take the money. You get it. But I had sketched out, like, okay, if I were to make Pokemon, what would my, like, Pokedex look like? What kind of beasts would I design? And so I had drawn like 25 or 30 beasts, something like that. And then after finishing BioGun, like I said, in coming to this year, I realized I needed to make a new game. And I thought about that. I was like, wait, I have a couple designs already. And I had this idea of a rock, paper, scissors game called TurnBreak before working on BioGun. What if I fused the two? And this became an iterative process. It was not like the full idea did not just happen immediately. It took a couple weeks for it to formulate, but it was like, okay, taking the rock, paper, scissors game system and then taking Pokemon, because people love Pokemon. And hey, look, business-wise, again, this is a little bit of the boring side, I see that roguelites do very well. Mm-hmm. And this time I don't have, I'm not going to go, I'm not going to utilize a publisher. I'm going to do this myself to, incur the highest risk, reap the biggest reward, right? So I'm going to do this myself, meaning without a publisher. I should know that I have Aiden Davidson is a co-developer, just like Ivan was for BioGun. Aiden Davidson is basically the Ivan equivalent for TurnBreak. He joined me 3 months into the project. So a lot of when TurnBreak was kind of established, but him and I have been jumping back and forth on a lot of game mechanics. But before going in that tangent, yeah, TurnBreak came together, just taking my love for Pokemon Gen 1 through 3 and simplifying it into essentially what I deem to be the most fun aspects of Pokemon and getting rid of all the extra fluff. instead of having HP and selecting attacks, it's like, no, if you've got fire, you're just going to beat grass. Simple as that. You know, because like in Pokemon, you throw, if you have a grass type and you fight a fire type, you can still damage the fire type with your moves.
Right.
But the fire just does super effective damage, you know, multiplier on your health. And I thought, you know, let's keep it simple. Let's keep the gameplay as straightforward as possible. And then, again, going back to the idea of like attacking the trainer directly, which you got to experience in TurnBreak. Once you win the 2 out of 3, best of 2 out of 3 with the rock, paper, scissors, but with elements, you get to deal damage to the opponent with whatever remaining beasts you have. So it became this simple but effective loop from the play testing that I did that people really enjoyed. It was just one of those like chill games that they could play. There's enough there to sink your teeth in, and there's more coming too, especially from what's only in the demo. It's the love for Gen 1 through 3 and simplifying it, you know, getting to see beasts evolve in the middle of a fight, you know, using their abilities to like adjust the outcome of the fight or change the outcome of the fight. There's a lot of cool things that we're looking into, like potentially PvP, which would be really fun. Yeah. You know, so, you know, a lot of people say that the game has a lot of PvP potential, but while that may not be a super big focus for us, we like the idea that you could create a lobby and have your friends join and you can just battle each other, stuff like that. So yeah, without beating a dead horse. Gen 1 through 3, love it. Just want to make the best game I can that like kind of represents the time, or that's the generations that I love the most of Pokemon, and just capture that and make it a nice simple loop and utilizing cards and stuff. It's not like full TGC, but giving the players just mechanics and systems to play with to shape the outcome more in their favor and just make something engaging but not super stressful. Something they can just enjoy. Yeah, I get a lot of, you know, from a consumer player perspective, like first impressions, I get a lot of like, of course there's the Pokemon aspect, but I get like Yu-Gi-Oh kind of Bakugan type of feels from it, just based on the, you're not attacking each other's monsters or beasts, you're attacking the players, because I feel like that's also a part of those other franchises, especially, you know, when you throw in the card stuff. So it's not just like, you know, here's the thing, but then you get an extra boon with the cards. Okay, cool. So about the element system and power synergy in TurnBreak, how did you go about designing it to keep the players engaged? Yeah, so rewarding the player with synergy points whenever they win outcomes, or obviously for balance sake, if they lose pretty badly, they still earn a couple synergy points so they don't get caught in a spiral. The synergy was there just because of the fact that if you notice, unlike most modern card battlers, like for example, Slay the Spire, right? You have your own set of cards, and then the enemies have their own mechanics, right? And you play the cards to benefit yourself to overcome the odds against the enemies and whatever mechanics they throw at you. However, in TurnBreak, you're on an even playing field because of the nature of it being rock, paper, scissors. I can't make the enemies too wildly different from the player because both of you have to, at the end of the day, rock, paper, scissors, throw your element out, right? So what I did was I incorporated the card mechanics. So like the cards that you get are based on the element of your team. So if you have a fire beast, you get a power card, which allows you to increase the power of a beast temporarily. Oh, okay. Yeah, so whenever you have a water beast, it gives you that subdue card, which allows you to like lower the power of a beast, or the radiant, which allows you to revive a beast, or all the elements give you a unique card that you get to play. But you can only have up to 6 beasts on your team. Yeah. So that means, you know, and unlike other modern card battlers where you're just drawing from your deck and then, you know, they're no longer playable. They're in the discard pile after you use them after every round. TurnBreak uses like what I call a carousel system. So the cards are constantly looping. Like, so you're always like looping through your deck. As soon as like you use a card, it goes at the bottom of your deck. Yeah. Or whenever you don't use a card, but you've had it in your hand for too long, you still end up losing it. Yeah, it cycles through. But like, and that might sound a little confusing initially for those who, you know, do play like Slay the Spire and other like Inscription and other card like games, but you know, it's not like every turn you draw a new set of cards. Yeah, that's not how TurnBreak works. You don't just draw. You only draw a new set of cards whenever you KO a beast, and your hand can only have, or you can currently only hold up to 3 cards in your hand. And so when you draw a new card, the third card in your hand will have to go back underneath the deck. So it also enforces you to play your cards, not to just like hoard them.
Yeah, there are many times where like I thought I could just hold power cards, and like I was trying to see, oh, maybe I could get 3 at the same time and just like make this one beast like overpower, but no, I couldn't because of that same system. So like I get that that's also a way of checking or balancing. So like it prioritizes each move of like, okay, I have X amount of synergy points, maximum of 4. How many do I want to use in this turn? How important is it going to be for this specific turn? Because I can't or else I'm going to have that option taken away from me as soon as I finish my turn or whatever. So it prioritizes, it incentivizes.
Yeah, that and then I'm not sure if you ever noticed, like, did you notice that sometimes your cards would be on fire?
Yes, I did.
So I'm not sure if you picked up on why.
No.
And that is due to lack of tutorialization. We've been like adding in these systems as we go, and sometimes we just we don't have time to go back in the tutorial and like add it in. But so the reason why your cards would be on fire, whenever a card is on fire, it means it would become a better version of itself, whether that's reducing its own cost, or for example the power card increases the power by 2 instead of 1. So at the top right of cards is a little symbol, and that symbol is representative of the morale meter at the top. So something that we introduced or we included with TurnBreak is a team morale system. And so throughout a single round, there's 3 turns, right? And you know this. But when you play and you win an outcome, you go from, at the start of a round, the composed morale state to, if you win, to confident, for example. And so if, for example, your morale state or your card matches the morale state, it gets better.
Right.
So like, for example, if you're really losing, which means you're crushed, then the subdue card allows it will get on fire. It'll set on fire, and it will allow you to weaken a beast by 2 points instead of just 1.
Yeah.
And so that's huge. That like helps a lot. Or for example, the taunt card, which is a Terra beast card, which allows you to force a beast to play, will go from a cost of 4 to 0 if you're crushed. So it's just another way that we account for balancing is using this morale system. And that the morale system also incorporates all the beast abilities. When the team is at a certain morale state, the beast's abilities will kind of proc and trigger. And so it was just, we realized we had to do things differently from other modern card games due to the fact that it's rock, paper, scissors. And so the morale system is what we utilize to.
I definitely felt that in the boss of the demo, right? The woodsman or whatever.
Yeah.
He was kicking my ass for like a good while, dude. Like at first I'm like, okay, I damaged him, but like then he won. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, he has extra abilities where like he heals 5 points every time he wins or whatever, or every now and again. But anyways, it came to a point where I was like 5 points away from being KO'd, 6, whatever, and I started using the cards more. That's when I stopped, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute, what the hell's going on here? Like every other trainer up until this point, like I've been beating pretty solidly, but this guy's giving me trouble. Why? So not. I will admit that I don't have the full understanding of all the elements. I get the basic principles, right? But I don't have it memorized like I do Pokemon or whatever. So it really helps to have the thumbs up, thumbs down, or whatever, like indicators for me deciding what I want to play. But there's that point in the battle where I'm like already 15 minutes in, I'm getting my ass handed to me. I'm like, and this guy's still at full health. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this forced me to really pay attention to the cards. Okay, what do these things say? Because other than the power thing, I wasn't using the other ones, to be honest. So I started utilizing them more. I started paying attention to like the evolution mechanic. So I've noticed like if I don't use it, then this guy has a beast that can like reset my guys' XP, so I can't evolve them or get stronger. So I have to use them, or else I don't get any benefits out of it. So
Yeah.
it's there's a lot to juggle, but like once I took my time to really understand like the state of the battle and catching on to that morale system, okay, then I started like making a comeback. And even with like 5 HP, I still managed to beat the damn dude. And I'm like, holy shit, like most of my team was already evolved and shit, you know, like
Yeah.
I went through a lot in that last battle. It was like it was long too. It was like 25, almost 30 minutes, like just from that one dude, just because, you know, I was like the first few trainers or whatever, I was just like clicking. You know, I was like, okay, how does when I click my first one, does the opponent also click the first one, or does it go just down by the numbers, or does it like also pick randomly? I learned by trial and error. So, anyways, to a question that I wanted to ask from something you brought up about making it feel different, making it feel like nothing else that's within the general genre of this type of game. What do you think TurnBreak is doing that you feel no other game is doing right now on top of everything else? Because, you know, it's card games can be like overly complicated to a point where it's like there's so many rules you have to pay attention to, or they can be stupidly simplified. And of course, taking those inspirations from Pokemon and stuff, you know, like how's balancing all that and still trying to come out to be something unique?
It's definitely tough. One of the biggest hurdles we run into is by making something that's very different from what's out there. People don't tend to understand what they're looking at in trailers.
Yeah, right.
That is one of the biggest double-edged swords I've come to understand. But to your point that you made earlier, once you kind of like jump in, it's not complicated. You're selecting a coin.
Yeah.
You know, there's elements on the other side, but like you said, the thumbs up, thumbs down. I try to remove the entry barriers where I could, and then because of that boss fight, specifically to clarify some things, like regular enemies do not have abilities.
That's what I noticed. Right? Yeah.
Yes, but like the mini bosses do, and of course the main bosses, and so. You know, in the specific situation you're in fighting that boss, whenever you TurnBreak him, he got to just evolve one of his beasts immediately. Yeah. Which is like insane because I'm sure you remember how much of a power increase a beast gets just from evolving into their second or even maybe third form. It, you know, like going from dealing 1 or 2 damage to 5 damage, and maybe that's just 7? One beast.
Yeah.
And you know, like being able to flick that 5 damage in on a TurnBreak, and plus the remaining beasts that either you or they have, it can deal a lot. So, you know, keeping the number values low to be digestible, and keeping the starting entry point of the game system simple. So although visually it might be a little like you may not understand what's going on, when you start playing, you're like, oh, wait, I get this. So I don't know if we're going to be able to find a solution to, I don't understand what I'm looking at, you know, in terms of trailers. I think the one way to combat that is to have to create a trailer that has a voiceover that kind of minor or you know, subtly explains what's going on. You know, battle with beast, blah, 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 you know.
Yeah, like sports announcer type of deal. Yeah.
Exactly. I think that will definitely help. But what I think we do different is, one, it may not sound that interesting just saying rock, paper, scissors, because truly, I mean, we all stopped playing rock, paper, scissors when we were kids. But I would say that the game, what makes it addicting or fun is the fact that it's about probability, and then you in real time shaping the probability in your favor, kind of like chess. You know, when you move your pieces around and when you move your pieces around and then you remove the opponent's pieces, you can kind of start painting a picture in your head of how you can play out the turns a little better. And if you recall from playing TurnBreak, when you would KO their beast, they would not be there for the next round.
Yeah.
Which allowed you to plan then, okay, this is my team and this is their team and these are my cards. How I can make the probability go more in my favor to then, win this round. Or trigger these nutty abilities that these beasts have. And so we've done a lot of stuff on our end that isn't in the demo that I'm really looking forward to when launching the playtest soon. The playtest for the Kickstarter backers. This is before early access, but not to go into a side tangent, but one of the things that we actually messed with was changing the beast abilities. Besides just a morale state, I'm not sure when you hovered over a beast if you notice, it's like, hey, I'll do this if we're in this morale state, and if I win the outcome, or if I lose the outcome,
right.
Or if I, if it's a mutual outcome. So we realized that double conditioning, or that double condition was a bit much. And so we changed it for a majority of the beasts that any outcome, it'll trigger its ability, which makes it a far more digestible, but also a lot more fun because you're triggering beast abilities even more often, which also means that enemies' beasts can trigger their abilities too, which is kind of cool. Which means that now you're utilizing more of your cards more often too. So, I end up just trying to hoard onto the power card, for example, even though I know the carousel system will scooch it over. But yeah, so I do think the fact that it is rock, paper, scissors like already separates it, but it's the combination of just, you're not just upgrading cards, you're upgrading beasts. You're not just like adding another card to your deck, you're adding a whole nother beast that has its own set of abilities that you can manipulate through upgrading, that does evolve in the middle of a fight, and just that in combination with the other systems in the game, like the overworld map, being able to capture beasts on the overworld map and in real time adjust your team, and eventually with the full game, of course, or even during early access when we add more biomes, and right now we're calling them like beast commands, at least at the moment, at least in my head. But like what they would be considered is like HMs from Pokemon,
okay.
Like strength, HM strength, HM surf, HM fly, like that will be part of the meta progression loop. Is like when you're going through the world, maybe you find HM surf, and so when you play the next run, you see that like position on the map that has like water puddles that you wouldn't normally be able to cross. Now you can. Oh. As long as you have a water beast on your team, you can utilize the command, surf or whatever. Yeah, you get it. So it's about like, appreciating.
There's a bush in the way in between one of the spaces. You use cut or whatever. Yeah, okay.
Exactly. Or maybe there's this red X on the dirt floor. Use dig to pull up treasure.
I like
so
that.
Like there's all these little systems that aren't in the demo yet, and we're really excited to like bring them in and get them worked in fully. And so the game like does lean more into the beast side of things. It's almost like taking cards, I guess, and giving them a little more life and personality.
Right.
And then just like I said, capturing that spirit of Gen 1. It's just like Pokemon, really. Yeah. I have not personally seen a modern card battler like Slay the Spire or Inscription or these type of games done with Pokemon in a way. And that's what I kind of wanted to find, because admittedly, I'm an enjoyer of card battlers, but I'm not going out of my way to buy every single one. Right. So my goal as a developer, and honestly as a gamer, is I usually try and find a genre that I somewhat enjoy and can see a lot of appeal in, but I try and make something that would appeal to me, because I don't see it anywhere else. And so it's taking this modern card battler, but adding in beasts, like giving them personalities and doing all these little things that all of a sudden make it more appealing to me as a gamer. So,
and speaking of the beasts, you said that when coming up with this idea, you've had 25 drafts, I guess, of different types of beasts, and I'm assuming they're evolutions. How many can we expect in the full game?
So
if it's 151, I'm gonna lose it.
Yeah, it's definitely, I'm shooting for 151 for sure. Like, for example, right now we have, not in the demo, but currently in development, there's 88 currently.
88?
Just
in the demo?
Yeah, no, not in the demo.
Okay.
In the demo, it's probably closer to like 40 something.
Wow.
But right now there's like 88. I would say about 7 of the 88 aren't drafted fully, like aren't fully designed, but they're like planned out completely. And so it would be closer to like maybe 79 that are actually finalized. I have like the document I can look up again. But anyways, and so the goal would be to hit about 151 for the full release for sure. Yeah, I don't know how many it's going to end up on, mainly because we do things like Beast Maker contests. So like at least twice a month, I like in my in the community, in the Dapper Dog Digital Discord community, we run a contest, and so it's called the Beast Maker contest, and we give people basically about a week and a half. Like a week to come up with the design of a beast, and then the contest has rules like, hey, like this one will be, the last one we did was like Terra themed, right? And so a couple of people made designs, they submitted it, and then the community got to vote on it. And so I take whatever people draw, whichever gets voted on the most, and I implement it in the game. I redraw it in the design of TurnBreak, and I talk to the individual that won, ask them what ability they like, and we kind of go back and forth with balance. We find the sound effect for them, we find their ability, and then we just implement it in the game. So I don't know if it'll end at 151 exactly. Maybe it will, or maybe it'll go over that with this in mind, and so we'll see. But I really would love TurnBreak to be community driven. I love the idea of people like the community voting on designs and adding in creatures.
Yeah, that's so cool. Oh my god. And I don't think you can experience this in the demo, but like, how do you like catch them all? If you can.
Yeah. This is not in the demo, but for example, you'll earn you'll earn what's called elemental shards. And so there's 3 families in the game. There's the spirit, there's the matter, and then there's the energy family. If you think about them as rock, paper, and scissors, it's a simple way of putting it. And each family, elemental family, has 3 elements in it. So spirit has grass, radiant, and dark, or flora, radiant, and dark. Matter has aqua, terra, gem, and energy has soul, arc, and alloy, right? So whenever you capture a beast in the game, if you release it, you'll get their family shard. And when you beat gym leaders or mini bosses, you'll get a randomized family shard. And so what you do is when you get enough family shards, you basically use them to unlock new beasts of whatever family shard you've collected enough of. So like if it costs like 5 family shards to unlock a beast within that family, that's basically what you would spend, and then you would unlock it immediately. Oh,
so this is where the roguelike element comes in.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of gotcha then.
Kind of, yes. It was an interesting balance, because I did this one thing. I thought it would be so cool, and funny enough, we had to kind of like, we didn't fully think it through. So then we realized like, oh wait, like the first thing I thought of immediately is like, once you capture a beast, it's just logged in to your summoning pit, your bestiary or whatever, and then you can just summon it. And I was like, wait, but if that's the case, then that means that beast would be useless in a second run if you run into it. It's like, why would I need to capture that when I already have it, right? So this is game design right here. It's like, okay, so how do you make it useful? Oh, okay, so maybe instead of unlocking the beast immediately, you instead unlock their shards or whatnot. So that way, no matter what you have or what element of a beast you have, even if you've already had that beast unlocked, as long as you capture, release, or whatever, you still unlock, or you still earn a shard, which then will always unlock a new beast for you.
Oh, there's no duplicates?
You won't get duplicates.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. No, that would be hard.
Yeah,
but I know why you would assume that, because a lot of the games that do that would. Yeah, no. You would not get duplicates. Ugh, no. I'm not a fan of that. Another thing, which the viewers won't be able to see, but I can show here to you, is a big reason for the family shards is that, I've got the keychains of the beast designs directly here.
Oh, that's so cool.
So there they are.
Yeah.
And, so one of the things that I thought would be so cool, because I noticed trying to be unique and different, is that for example, I sell these keychains for $5, right?
Right.
But I thought as a bonus, how cool would it be if the keychain gave you a code that you unlocked it in the summoning pit too? So you didn't, you don't have to RNG your way in creating or finding all the beasts. If you wanted, it's just another way of supporting us, the developers, but also a clever way of unlocking beasts in the game too. But you get a keychain, a physical keychain.
Yeah.
It's not even that badly sized. It's pretty decent size.
Yeah, that's so cool. And that's the kind of merch I like to see, because it's you have coins in the game. Here's a keychain of the coin of the actual beast. It's straight from, that's so cool, man. Oh my God. I love that so much. It's same thing with Bakugan or Beyblade. Here's the toy of the actual creature that you like from this thing. You can have it. Bam.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool, man.
Yeah, and even if you have, for example, let's say you're a fan of this beast, right? Yeah. But you already have it in your summoning pit. Well, then you would think, okay, well then what do I do with the code? Well, the code would just give you the family shard, right? Instead,
and you could still get something out of it. Yeah.
That was so the whole family shard system was a solution for just not only gameplay design, making beasts that you already own or have not useless, but also working with the keychains as well. Just because it's so cool. Kind of neat. Funny you mentioned Bakugan. The demo doesn't showcase this, but I started hearing a lot of people saying Bakugan. Hey, the game reminds me of that. So that right now, when you play, you click a coin and it gets flicked into the position, and then the lightning moves. Yeah. Right now, it doesn't do that. Instead, what happens is when you flick a coin in, both you and the enemy flick a coin in, when they land into the positions spin up because they have the little spikes. Yeah. And then they ram into each other.
Oh, that's so cool. So we're implementing Beyblade as well? Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to lean into that. Why not, right? So it's a minor thing, but it also kind of helps visualize that these creatures are battling versus the lightning just moving left and right. So, this is part of early access, or the process of game development and iteration is just taking the feedback and adjusting and pivoting and trying to make the game as best as it can be, Right. So.
Yeah. And this question I'm about to ask is not in my script, but it's just something I want to ask as a gamer and who's looking forward to this game. Have you thought about or play with the idea of having the not the sprite, but the image or the drawing of the creature come out of the coin once you summon it, like Bakugan, once the ball gets rolled, it pops up and then the creature emerges. Have you ever thought of that before? I'm sure you have. Yeah.
We actually even played with that programming. For example, I was messing with the programming and the visuals of on TurnBreak. When you flick the coin in, the coin would land and then the beast would come out of the coin, or at least fade out or in the coin, and then they would strike the opponent. Right. I had messed with all that, and ultimately what that did, and it's not a bad idea, but it opens up a Pandora's box, at least right now, this early in development, where all of a sudden now I got to make this work for all of the beasts. Oh, and then on top of that, animation. There's so much to it. The size, when they come out of the coin, what size are they? Okay, if there's this, if the bunny character is this size, what about that bigger, dragon dog? I don't know if you actually saw it, called Reekfang. That thing's huge, right? So wait, what size would that come out at the coin? But then is there enough space in the playable area for then all of a sudden the bigger creatures to all be coming out of the... There's a lot of that little thought process, or a lot of those kind of thought processes that go on, and when trying to like figure all this stuff out. So I've been trying to think of ways to do something like this.
Gotcha.
Like you're talking about, because I do agree, like the beasts inside the coin, you don't get to see them too much. They're like harder to notice. And unfortunately, a lot of their design gets cut off due to being inside the coin. There's nothing wrong with them being in the coin because it fits the arena style and it's charming flicking the coins. But it would be cool to be able to see them in some way or form. So I do agree with you. We're still trying to like find ideas that work that don't consume a ton of like time in development. And so the goal right now is just to focus on most of the gameplay stuff that's a lot of fun, the core systems, get those implemented, and then during polish phase, if we can figure out something that works, that's when we'll start like adding that stuff in, and that'll be fun because then the game will just have like another visual upgrade, you know.
Understood. Okay, I'm glad I asked then. Last question before the speed round: what kind of relationship do you want players to have with your games? Fun and fleeting, or deep and replayable? I'm sure that's pretty easy to answer.
Oh man. That is very difficult for me because like fun, my goal is always to make something that's fun. And I know that sounds lame, maybe.
No.
Because like, yeah, when you think of video games, you're like, yeah, duh, fun, right? But like, I mean, how many games have you played where you felt like, wow, that wasn't very fun, right?
Quite a few.
You know, and that's not me throwing shade. I'm just like, as a gamer, right? You know, like stepping aside as a developer, as a gamer, I have played games where I'm like, you know, I can see what they were thinking here, but like, it wasn't fun, right? So my big thing is like, I want to capture that joy. I want to bring joy into people's lives when they play something. It just like brings back their childhood, something, right? But I also do want to make sure that the games are deep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's the fact that you added the word fleeting after fun that I'm like, I don't know if I can pick it.
Those aren't exclusive. Those aren't married to each other. It could be fun and deep and replayable all at the same time. I'm just saying words, man.
Yeah. Oh, no. Okay. So, yeah, no. Definitely, like, fun, forefront. Like, if I were to, like, list them off, it would be fun is always at the forefront.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the word deep is what I'm looking for. I'm trying to figure out another word here. But it would be something along the lines, I think, of just something where when you invest your time into it, it doesn't feel like it was wasted.
Gotcha.
I don't know. I can't think of a word that captures that.
Right.
But, you know, like that feeling you get when you play a Nintendo game, except for Breath of the Wild and collecting all the Korok seeds. Oof.
Which I've done,
you know,
yeah.
Like a big part of my childhood was collect-a-thons. Right. Yeah. So like finishing a game, like you said, 100%, like that it feels like it was like worth it. It was a joy throughout the entire experience. Depth isn't the word I'm looking for, but obviously I do want depth in a strategy game, but it is fun, a combination of fun, depth, and that sense of just whole. Like that was it felt like a whole game. Like it was good. You know. It's a balance that a lot of us developers try and find.
Right. Do you know what the reward would be when players get all 150 beasts? Will it be just a certificate, or will there be something more?
It'll be a golden beast poop. Not called Korok seed.
Yeah.
Honestly, I haven't thought that far actually thinking about it, but I feel like because of the fact that it's a roguelite, and sometimes on your run you may not get a beast that you want, or maybe you do. It probably should be a good reward for being able to like acquire all of them. So that is a good point. I'll have to think on that one.
Completion bonus.
Yes, completion bonus.
A lot of games don't have them.
I know, it's rough. Maybe all the legendaries start appearing on the map. I don't know.
All right, well, now let's get into the speed round where I'm going to ask you a bunch of silly, random questions. We're going to see how you do. Are you ready?
Oh, gosh, maybe not, but go for it. Let's do it.
If you were the final boss in a video game, what would your title be?
I don't know why my brain went to Big Beluga.
Big Beluga?
I don't know. Yeah, that's the first thing that came to mind, so
Love it.
For that.
What would your boss theme music be, and you can choose any song from anywhere?
Ooh. I'll just go with Xenoblade 1's final boss theme. That guitar riff in the beginning. Dut, 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 dut. So good.
Love it. If you were a superhero, what would your name be? And follow up, what powers would you have?
I think I remember. So it would be I know the superpower right off the bat, which is if whatever what is it, that SpongeBob episode? Like when they draw, whatever they draw came to life, Doodle Bob. Oh. So, like just having the ability to draw something and then it just like comes to life right out of the paper would be so sick. Or being able to like materialize ideas just like from the tip of your pen would be so cool. As for a name, man, I'm not great with names. Pencil. No, wait, that sounds awful. Artiste. There you go.
The Artiste. Nice and simple. If you can live in the world of your favorite childhood show, movie, or video game, which one would it be and why?
Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Really?
Super peaceful.
Okay.
That's the first thing I thought of.
If you could attend any fictional event, for example, the Ewok celebration in Return of the Jedi, which one would it be and why?
Oh man, there's so many like endings of games that I'm also thinking of besides movies that I'm kind of like, man, how would it be to experience that? Would be so insane. I guess I'm just gonna say it is Xeno 1's experiencing that ending, which I'm not gonna spoil. Would be absolutely nuts.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it would be. You're right. The very like post everything, right?
Yes. Well, like, could you imagine experiencing or figuring out the reveal of everything, but then also knowing what was, and then a whole new thing gets so
understood. Yeah. No, you're right. If you had to guess, what would you say is the song you've listened to the most times in your life?
I usually have OST playlists just going, so it's like, oh man. I have been listening to a song which is Don't Worry. And it's not Bob Marley. But I can't even remember. I'm really bad with names. I can't even remember the artist's name.
Bobby McFarlane?
It's called, it's not called Don't Worry, sorry. It's called Right on Time by Aaron Cole. But that song has helped me a lot get through a lot, just because it's so I'm Christian, but like a lot of the times, it doesn't mean I don't go through a ton of life circumstances where the odds are just like don't feel like they're against you. And so just hearing a song that just brings a semblance of hope and just echoes what I've personally experienced, which is just phenomenal. It's like a reminder, like, don't worry, things are going to work out right on time.
Right.
And that, like, with all the stuff that I've been through personally in my life, it's always come down to like the last minute or the last second, it feels like, where for me, it felt like God came through right on time. And it just, it's an experience. It's hard to put it. That would be it.
Understood. What would your 14-year-old self think of who you are today?
Oh man. It's funny because as we get older and we do a lot of these things, we kind of downplay what we do. But if we were, like, if I was 14 years old and I found out that I actually made video games and they look the way they do, I guess.
Because
at that time, yeah, right. And just, yeah, I think I'd be ecstatic. Like, no way I did, or I do, which is such a healthy way of looking at it, because we definitely downplay where we are often because we want more. It's kind of natural being human, but
understood.
That's deep.
Yeah, it is. And thank you for sharing that. Will your dogs be in TurnBreak in any capacity?
Somebody actually asked if Fee Pup will be in the game, which is kind of like a baby Jasper, a fetus baby Jasper, which is gross out of context, but I don't think they will. The logo's there, so when you boot it up, but I don't think they will be, unfortunately.
Understood. Well, it is now time for you to recommend 3 people that you'll share this episode with when it comes out, that you think they'll be a good guest on the show, if you can help me get them on the show.
Yes. So Kendall is definitely one, creator and lead of Shade Protocol.
Yeah, man. So excited for that, dude.
He's a great guy. He's a book. Just chat with him and you'll experience it yourself.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. I can't wait.
Then there's Jordan, who's a creator and developer of Haiku the Robot and Rusty's Retirement. He's another video game developer. He's been an incredible friend and somebody who I personally looked up to, seeing his journey, witnessing his journey, and then just conversations that him and I have had. And then third person would be Stevie, actually. Stevie, the creator and developer of Heretics Fork, My Little Life, and Zapping Bygone. I just know his story because I've known him for a while too, and him and I went through like the same competition that like through IGN and then like the same publisher, and just like there's so much that we have a lot in common, and it's great every time I catch up with him to see what's going on in his life and how things are. So he's also a really, really cool guy. I recommend.
I really, really appreciate that. We'll do what we can to get them on the show. Thank you. Do you have any final thoughts?
I just want to say thank you so much for having me and giving me an opportunity to talk about BioGun and TurnBreak and just chat with you about everything in between, really. So it's been an immense pleasure.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for being on the show. I am always excited to talk about video games, especially indie games. Indie devs are like the real heart and the center, the forefront of video games, I think, in my opinion. Like without you guys, like we wouldn't have good quality games as we do now. Yeah, there's the AAA titles and stuff, but like I feel like that's on a whole different level. I'm not saying above or below. It's just that's a different league. I'm saying like for video games themselves, how video games are perceived now would be completely different without you guys. So like I appreciate every moment that you've given me. I know this was a long episode, but like I'm more than happy to help bring or shine a light on both BioGun and especially TurnBreak, which is out now on early access on Steam. Thank you so much for being on the show, John. Again, I really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And if I may add one last thing, I just want to give a shout out to my wife, who's been an incredible rock in this entire journey. Kendall as well. He's also just been so helpful. But also my best friends, Robbie, James, Nick, who just helped, who've been there alongside this development journey from the beginning, and Aiden Davidson, my co-developer, and Ivan, who's working so hard as well on the back end, doing his thing with his family. Aiden and Ivan are both incredible people. I wish they were here with me to do this, but either way, just want to give them a shout out and some love.
All right, that's all the time we have for today, guys. If you want to hear more from John, be sure to check out dapperdogdigital.com to see more updates on BioGun and especially TurnBreak. Also, while you're at it, check out BioGun and check out TurnBreak, which is again now available on early access on Steam. And we'll be doing a Let's Play showcase on TurnBreak on the Razzle Dazzle Show's YouTube channel the day after this episode releases. Be sure to check it out and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Links to everything will be in the description down below. Be sure to let us know what you think about this episode somewhere on the internet, and be sure to follow us on Instagram at Razzle Dazzle Show, on TikTok at Razzle_Dazzle_Show, on Blue Sky at RazDaz Show Pod, and on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Raz_Daz_Pod. Be sure to rate us 5 stars and leave a comment down below. We'll catch you on the next one. Next time on the Razzle Dazzle Show.
So we wanted to take Mega Man X and imbue it with kind of the practicality and perhaps the casualness of a roguelike game that you can just boot up, play. If you want to play for 8 hours straight, great, you can, and that's great. You'll unlock a lot of progress. If you don't have time because you have a ton of responsibilities on that day and you want to play for 30 minutes, you can, and you'll get kind of your fix of high action platforming Mega Man-esque experience. And so for me as a player, it's perfect. I would say by now we've played it way too much, just from how much play testing over almost a decade of play testing, but it's still a blast whenever I get to pick it up again. I'm like, oh, let me see if this is working. Like right now we were testing for certain bugs. And so just being able to pick up the game and play a little bit sometimes takes me back to when we first came up with the project and started. Like some of that magic is still there of like, oh, this is actually really fun.
Tune in next week.